going to start off with just a little footnote before we get into the inspection on this, and for the benefit of those of us visiting from foreign countries and areas other than Southern California, a special welcome to you, and to tell you where we are in Southern California with the use of asphalt rubber and rubberized asphalt concrete, kind of a state of the state. Somebody's producing rubberized asphalt concrete somewhere in Southern California practically every business day. All of our major material producers own their own blending equipment now. Since about 1992, the market has really blossomed in Southern California, in particular Los Angeles, Orange, and Ventura counties, to a lesser extent San Bernardino and Riverside counties, and to a somewhat lesser extent also San Diego. So really, rubberized asphalt concrete is basically a commodity these days in Southern California. We're using it all the time. Before we start off, I just would give a footnote here. Ann Stonex is here to my right, and Ann and I have discussed kind of the state of where we're at in the overall education and training, in particular in Southern California. And probably the biggest gap that remains in training is in the suitability and application of rubberized asphalt concrete for different purposes and design. And Ann has an excellent PowerPoint that she's produced. If you feel you need training in the structural design aspects of pavements, contact MacTech, and she can arrange for that training because it's very important that we use the material in the proper application and the proper thickness. Remember, any material, when it's used in an improper application or an improper thickness, can fail. So what you want to do is you don't want to doom your contractor and producer to failure if you're a designer or a specifier. You want to use the right material in the right application. To start off with paving, kind of a footnote too on paving is if you're already doing good inspection practices with conventional asphalt concrete, there's no reason to expect that you won't be successful in paving with rubberized asphalt concrete. There's just a few nuances, a few things a little bit differently that you want to be paying attention to. A little bit tighter. Doug, we're not moving here. Just a few things you want to pay attention to. Doug asked me to put together the checklist. And I thought, this is a good idea. It's a good chance for me to put together some things that I've thought about for a while here. And one thing I really believe that a good paving job starts with good planning. And what I promote is a pre-paving meeting. It can be a significant amount of time between when you have your pre-construction meeting, typically in an office, and when the paving can actually take place on the job. And one thing I promote is a pre-paving meeting between the inspector, the materials testers, the contractor, 2 or 3 days before the project is scheduled to start. One thing the inspector should have out there, and the materials producers, is they should have an approved copy of the approved job mix formula or the approved mix design, and plan inspection. What continues to surprise me is the number of cities and counties who do not arrange for plan inspection through a qualified consultant or through their own lab, in particular on non-federally funded projects. One of my most common calls at the RACTEC has been, we had a project go bad. First question I ask is, did you have plan inspection? Well, no, but next time we will. Well, next time is too late. And it's been my experience that producers want and encourage proper agency testing in addition to their own QA/QC. They want to work together to prevent problems. I think plan inspection is a win-win situation. It's not real expensive either. Whoops, wrong way. Another thing to consider, method of delivery. Southern California triaxle trucks have become probably the most common delivery method. If you specify in your special provisions you don't want bottom dumps, you want to reinforce that at your pre-paving meeting. Some agencies are reluctant to use bottom dumps, in particular for rubberized asphalt concrete. I don't really have any concerns with it personally. It's your decision. But the inspector should be knowing what type of material or what type of delivery method is going to be used. Expected number of tons, and why I ask that is if you use the Green Book, that's going to drive basically how many rollers you're going to require on the project. Caltrans requires 3 rollers, basically, period, which is a good provision. The Green Book allows either 2 or 3, depending on the number of tons per hour. Traffic control. You're going to see a really bad slide here later on traffic control during a resurfacing job. Traffic control, like you know, is very important, not only and primarily to safety, but it also affects a contractor's production. If the traffic control is loose, it's really going to interfere with the contractor's production and may also disrupt the quality of their work. A pull plan. Well, what's a pull plan? Well, it's kind of a phrase that I coined after visiting a project. A city asked me to go out and look at a project that kind of went a little bit bad. It had been paved with a rented crew. Rented crew was basically a crew that the prime contractor had hired. The prime contractor didn't do their own paving. And from the sounds of talks with it, the crew really did not approach the paving project, which is a major project, systematically. So I think at your pre-paving meeting, you should discuss how the contractor proposes to pull the different lanes. Caltrans requires the through lanes to be pulled first, which I think is a good provision. That provision is not in the Green Book. But where it's really important is if you have a streetscape project where you have bulb outs at curb returns and things like that. You've got recessed parking lanes, et cetera. Those kind of projects are hard to pave in an urban area. So I think a pull plan, even if it's just verbally discussed, or the contractor takes a copy of the plan view of the plans and marks it up on how they propose to pull it, it's a good idea, and it helps the inspector, and it also ensures the contractor is going to approach the paving systematically. If a contractor approaches the paving systematically, they're going to get better production and probably generally better quality. Here's something that I actually learned from an inspector when I was in the field, and in urban areas, it's just one of these little things. And do discuss at the pre-paving meeting, how do you want the edge of gutter left? Do you want it left flush, or do you want a little bit of a lip? And in this slide here, what you see in the background is you see an MTA bus. And remember, after every paving project is completed, traffic is going to act like a pneumatic roller, and it's going to continue to compact the pavement slightly. And what's going to happen in this slide here is that bus is going to run up there along the edge of gutter, and it's going to keep pounding down that pavement to the point where it's depressed below the edge of gutter. It's going to trap water and start raveling the edge. So one thing that's good practice is to leave a little bit of a lip on the edge of gutter, maybe one rock, about 3/8 of an inch, so that to allow for that continued compaction, so that you don't end up with a pavement below the edge of gutter. Now, the other thing that's really not good practice in this slide here is forcing the contractor to pave up against a very broken or uneven gutter. Longitudinal joints. Longitudinal joints are very important. If you have some special provisions on how you want those compacted, you want extra material definitely raked into those longitudinal joints so the roller can pound them in. Remember, your longitudinal joints are going to be an area where generally you're going to be getting lower compaction. Talk with the contractor about what tack material they're going to use. Are they going to use paving grade asphalt, or are they going to use emulsion? It can make a difference. Obviously, if you're going to use emulsion, it's going to have to break, which is going to take a while if you're out there on the job. The inspector needs to know, obviously, where the plant is going to be delivered from to arrange for the plant inspection, et cetera. I was on a job recently where the material looked pretty good, but it was a bit coarse. And the inspector called the plant inspector and said the material's running coarse. The producer tweaked a little bit, and the material really ended up looking good. It turned out to be a very good material, a very good job. Automatic screed controls, both of those are essentially special provisions items and are required in either Green Book or the Caltrans. Caltrans has an SSP for it. You want to be requiring automatic screed control device on a surface course. Some agencies even require it on a base course. But it's good practice. You don't want somebody cranking up and down on the back of the screed, the wheels. You want to let the hydraulic system do it. So again, if you're an inspector, emphasize that you want an automatic screed control device in place on that. Plans, special provisions, reviewed, discussed. It seems like a no-brainer. But again, if it's the first day of paving, your crew may have been on a conventional pavement job for another agency with a different spec. I don't think it hurts to brief the contractor and force them to review the plans and the special provisions for your particular project to ensure that they know what they're paving with. Obviously, crews are moving from project to project. Okay, rock dust blotter. Now, this is the example of this horrible traffic control I was talking about. It looks like this truck